I read a magazine in a dentist's office that I didn't pay for. I'm sorry that I committed the mortal sin of theft.
It's crazy how Jonathan just lawyered that and it made sense.
It does make sense.
I mean,
Are you kidding me?
I have no reason to say that Jonathan is wrong for that. Like, other than like either two reasons. Either A, it doesn't feel good and I don't like it, or B, like illegal stuff, right? Where it's like, okay, well, technically
Jonathan,
to this law,
do
this
you
is
pay
wrong.
for any book? Jonathan, do you pay for any
Yeah,
book?
I pay for books. I pay for books sometimes. Like, I buy physical books.
Sorta's
Why?
example fails because there's no
Why?
retention.
Because I
And there's
Yeah, the
acquisition.
intention. I was going to
There's
go
no
there, but I was leading not Blackout. I was leading Jonathan into it with the intention, specifically the intention of the author. But
I just
so
said
the reason I buy physical
Sorta's
books,
example
there's a couple
fails
of reasons
because
why I
there's
buy
no
physical books.
retention. If you read a magazine at the dentist office, A, there's no acquisition on your part. You didn't go out and like take that somewhere. B, there's no retention of information like there is on your computer. So if you're a little pirate guy, you're going to run around and you're going to find the things and you're going to acquire them and then you're going to retain them. It's a completely different type of example.
What am I acquiring?
The data.
the data, the content.
Well, but as far as I'm concerned, the data is on my computer, and if it gets eradicated from my computer, it doesn't affect anyone else's data.
Yeah, but
Is it a moral?
But that's just your cope. You're still taking that.
Right, dude. So the stolen TV just happens to be in your house.
Data theft is a real thing. Like that's basically what you're doing.
Based
is
on what?
stealing data.
So if I wait a second, hold on.
Just
Let me
'cause
try
the
to
government
lawyer
says
this.
so?
Let me lawyer this real quick. So if I take a magazine from a dentist's office and I scan it, I open my PDF scanner or whatever, I take pictures of the pages. Am I stealing? Is that a mortal sin?
I'm not. I don't trade in your mortal. I'm not going to tell you if this is.
Well, to be fair, Valen does say that he'll do this at libraries, where like he'll take a book in the library, scan it, and then take the copies home. And he said
he's paying for the copy though. He's paying for the copy.
Here's the problem. In the magazine case, the only thing that would be stealing would just be taking a physical magazine, because by taking the physical magazine, you're necessarily depriving somebody else of something. Whereas in the data case, it's just.
But that's not what stealing is.
You are depriving someone of
That's not what
something.
stealing is.
No,
though.
I'm not.
That's not what stealing is.
It's
stealing is
the only thing you're
stealing is taking something that doesn't belong to you. Right.
I'm definitely not triggered, but
no, I think it's hilarious how you lawyer this. But stealing is taking something that doesn't belong
someone
to you.
of potential profits, and people don't have a right to potential
But again,
profits.
that's not the definition of stealing, right?
Yeah, stealing is taking something that isn't yours, and the issue is
great.
that
Is the
there
data
isn't a
yours
thing being
when you
taken.
take this data? When you take this data off
Yes,
of
it is
like,
my data because it's on my computer.
Oh my gosh, you're blind, dude.
No, dude, the stolen TV in your living room isn't your TV just because it's in your living room.
That's not you're assuming that a TV. So there's properties of a TV that make it such that would be stealing. So, for example,
because something has physical properties.
If you download a bunch of social security numbers off a dark website, if you download a bunch of social security numbers off a dark website, are you stealing that data?
No.
Wow, you're
but
something else, dude. I like you, Jonathan, but you are
that's crazy.
I like you, but you are.
I hear a lot of people whining. I don't hear any arguments though.
It's crazy because we're fetishizing
the
PDFs,
arguments have already been given. But what you're saying is
nobody thinks that taking
you're just saying it's
number
impossible
is wrong
to steal
just because
data.
It's a file.
That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. You're saying it's impossible.
Did we ever figure out if it was sinful for me to take pictures of pages in a magazine?
Go ask your Anglican priest, dude.
Oh, okay. So this is going to be one of those.
The funny thing is that here's another hypothetical that kills them. Is if you're let's say you're like Barry Allen, and you can read super fast, and you go to a Barnes and Noble, and you're allowed to like look at the books at Barnes and Noble and read them a little bit. Let's say I'm a super fast reader, so I basically read it super instantly in like 2 seconds, and I retain all the information, and then I put it back. Is that stealing?
You've retained the information in your mind, so yeah.
Yeah, and what if I only retain half of the sentences? When does it become stealing?
It becomes stealing when you take something that doesn't belong to you. So like when you take and retain it. So in your
the
case,
sentences belong to the person.
You're taking the data, right?
The sentences belong to the person.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, the only thing that's that happens in the Barnes and Noble case is I'm retaining a bunch of sentences.
No, the ideas that you're reading in the sentences, the concept.
Yeah,
all of that belongs. All of that.
I'm sorry, but the idea that concepts are properties is hard.
One sec. All of that it's called intellectual property.
Yeah, intellectual property is fake.
Here's the funny thing too, Jonathan. Don't you think it's
I hope
funny?
You get busted for pirating. I really do.
I think it's funny how the only people giving arguments is people who are
assertion, dude. That's an assertion, dude. Like, what's the argument?
I've given several arguments, and all you do is stick your head in the sand and go, "Oh, that's not stealing." Like you just default say that it's not, that you can't steal data, but the courts of law in this country and other countries completely
the courts of law also said that black people were 3/5 of the person's shares.
Here's the interesting thing.
That you're a law unto yourself, right? I mean, it's actually very good.
I'm sorry, bro, but the laws can be wrong.
The United States Copyright Office determines my moral theology. Also, Jonathan, don't you find it very weird that when you get down, like when you actually look at some of the downloads on some of these websites, the places they pull from are places like the Internet Archive, Uploaded Scan, that literally are just from PDF scanners, right? Or from other material that people have access. Sci-Hub.
Yeah, somebody had to buy the book.
No, it's like this idea that people are breaking into a bank vault. It's just wild.
Well, here's another problem.
But there's a difference.
Let's say I have 100 good friends and I go and buy a book from Barnes and Noble. And he says, "Hey, can I read that book?" And I say, "Here, sure, man. Here's the book." And then he passes it around to 100 people, and then it finds its way back to me within a month. Did all those people steal it? Did they steal the information?
There you go.
They steal the data.
There's no retention. They're not.
There is. They're remembering it.
No, that's not what's meant by retention.
Retention in this case.
No. Retention in this case would point to either like the physical material that composes the book or the data.
Right, and there's none of that with the PDF because the data on my computer is distinct from the data.
There is.
Oh man,
there is.
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing that's the same. The only thing that's the same is the concepts.
The mind will go to justify their stealing, though. Like that's pretty crazy.
Okay, I know you're crying. You don't need to cry, Warfare. It's okay. You don't need to cry.
I'm not crying. I'm actually laughing. I think it's hilarious.
The only people who cry say they laugh, so they can seem like
on this issue.
This is why all you do is overtalk.
I actually was in the middle of a sentence. Paste from like a digital Kindle book I buy, right? And I copy and paste from it and share that with friends.
We're having access to the information. I can
actually.
So,
Jonathan, just to be clear, downloading people's social security numbers off the dark web is not stealing. Can you say that again?
It's not stealing, but it's immoral.
Okay.
Like nobody in real life, by the way, just to be clear, nobody on the street who's like a common sense person is like, it's wrong because it's stealing. The reason I think it's wrong is because you can use that information to damage them. It has nothing to do with it's stealing because this is the piece of data.
Well, why is it immoral?
Believes that.
Why is it immoral?
Argument.
Well,
hold on.
Well, no,
let's drive.
You're causing damage when you take the content and you didn't pay for the content.
No, why is it immoral? I know my dad's social security number. Just having the content doesn't damage him.
So why is it immoral to take the social securities?
Why is it immoral to take people's social securities number?
Because you cause damage.
Well,
because you cause damage, and I'm saying that you cause damage.
I don't think it's inherently wrong to take someone else's social security number.
Oh, okay.
I know people's social security number in my family.
Okay, but remember the question. The question wasn't, is it immoral to know your dad's social security number? The question is, was it immoral, or I said stealing at first, but you say it's immoral. So you say it's immoral to go to the dark web and download a bunch of SSNs. Now I'm asking, why is that particular instance immoral?
Well, we have to ask why that's happening because the FBI does that all the time.
Well,
that's another evasion. That's another.
I like how the magazine example just
he answered the question, and then he realized the problem with his answer. He said because people
there's no
take
problem
those
with my answer.
yeah, dude. You said they take those things to cause damage to people. like to steal their identity, right?
Yeah, they download.
And so when you
download
stop,
social
dude,
security
when you
numbers to cause
download the
damage.
content of a book and you didn't pay for it, you have caused damage
Yeah,
to
but
the
you're not
author
causing
or
damage to anybody.
the publisher of that book.
With your social
We
security
agree.
number, you can literally
At this
replace
point,
a
you're just
person in the
arguing.
society. You
At
can
this
actually
point, you're just
replace a
arguing the
person.
level of damage. At this point,
Do
you're
you
just
have any
No,
arguing the
it's
level of
actually
damage.
not. It's not about level of damage. It's about what
Yeah,
damage is. So just having someone's social security number is not damaging them.
right. It's the stealing of the identity, or like taking
Yeah,
credit
it's
in their
pretending
name,
to
right?
be that. It's pretending to
Right.
be
So
that
there's
person.
a monetary damage that's done. I
Yeah, it's
just argue the
pretending to be that
monetary
person because
damage.
then you can actually
I
take
just
money. You
damaged.
can take
I
a
just
physical. You can take a
presented
physical
a
thing from
monetary
them. Yeah, you
damage.
can go to the bank
Jonathan,
and
stop
take out money.
spurging out, dude. Your argument's wrecked. So you agree that
I
stealing
know you're
someone's
mad, but
identity
it's okay.
causes damage because it's a financial damage. I just showed you that stealing the content of
Yeah.
a book and not paying for it causes financial
That's not
damage to the
financial
author
damage.
or
You're
the
just not
publisher.
giving someone
Yes, it
something.
is. Yeah,
No.
you're taking a product
The
that they
reason
intended
stealing
for
out of
you
a
to
bank account
purchase.
is stealing is because you're actually taking physical
No,
funds
dude.
out of an account, bro.
Right. This thing that they have made has value. You took it without giving the value that they've established to it, and that's
Okay.
caused financial
I
harm.
mean, you can assert that,
The
but
person,
there's no reason to think the cases are
no,
correct.
dude, you're gonna have to make the argument for how it's
Well, I
like how
already gave you the difference. I already showed you the
that
difference.
the value that they've
I showed you the
attached to
very
this
clear,
product
obvious
isn't real.
difference, and you're just mad because you want to be able to sell
I'm not
books.
mad, dude. It's like it's this weird gaslight that you're trying because you like to
I'm not
steal stuff and
gaslighting
you want
you.
to cope about it.
I was asking
Well, dude,
in the VC, and you guys are
you get
making
in front
piss
of
poor
God and he
arguments.
asks you why you spent your entire life stealing from people, and you'll be like, "That wasn't stealing. It's not real property."
Well, because God hates intellectual property because it's fake.
Oh man. So I mean, let's try this.
So nobody could answer Sorta's counterexample. No one could answer the book giving example. They said there's not a retention. What's not being retained exactly? You're retaining all the content of the book. If you're going to say there's no retaining of the physical media, if you're going to say there's no retaining of the physical media, well, then that's just going to go back to the fact that the data on my computer is technically a distinct set of data from the data on Anna's archive.
Well, here's the other
Sorry,
thing.
bro.
Here's the other thing, Jonathan. I
almost think he's trolling, but he's probably not.
I actually counted for the data bit with the magazine example because I mentioned taking a picture of it, right?
Or if I copy and paste from my digital books and send that to people and they keep sending it to people, how's that stealing?
That's the other interesting question when we talk about how these files are uploaded. So, for example, if you buy, like I don't know, if you buy access to a PDF, right, and you own that PDF, then you upload it to a website like Anna's archive. Is that the same thing as literally just like, I don't know, however the most evil setup for piracy, right, that you can imagine?
The only difference
store. No.
Yeah, there you go.
The only difference between Anna's archive and your local library is that the government says one is good and one is bad.
Interestingly enough, a lot of these academic institutions, including
that's actually a good point,
actually use Anna's archive to do things like LLM training and all this stuff. Not to mention, they also download files from Anna's archive site.
Yeah. As for the question of why I buy physical books, it's because I learn better from physical books. And there are times where I think a person is doing other work in the church that should be compensated for. Or I just want to give them money as a donation.
As a donation.
I told you it would be special
You
pleading.
can say I'm lying, but that is literally why I buy physical books.
No. We've been through this before. I already know. Yeah.
Wait, people actually have an issue with like
Well, dude, I told you guys this was a sturdy argument.
I actually think pirating is a virtue.
This is not.
I've been pirating since I was a little boy. Like whenever
pirating is actually morally good.
I started pirating.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty sturdy argument. Now, is there maybe a valid refutation? Sure, I don't know it, but it's pretty sturdy, dude. It's pretty sturdy. I think it'd hold up. And like, if there was like a logic court, now it's not going to hold up in the U.S. government, unfortunately. You will be jailed.
I mean, actually, yeah, but how many people actually
would it hold up with the
pirating
Bible?
books off of Anna's archive?
Would it hold up with how St. Paul, urges people to, as best as within their ability, to keep all the laws and to keep the peace?
Yeah, but these aren't laws.
Would it hold up? Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's going to disagree that they're laws.
An unjust law is no law at all.
I bet you have PDFs, Mr. Warfare.
Now, Warfare, I'm going to be honest with you.
If the law
reason
said you had to lick your fingernails every 3 hours, would you have to do that?
Okay, hold on. So the reason I agree, Jonathan, I actually agree with your argument. But the reason why I'm not going to do it is because I think if I went to my priest and I said, "Hey, Father, I'm going on Anna's archive and downloading like theological books for free," he would probably tell me not to do that. And so
that's a great question.
That's
Jonathan,
the reason why I wouldn't.
That's a great question. Jonathan, have you told your priest that you do this? Serious?
No.
Will you? Okay. Will you?
Yeah,
do
I would
this
tell
for
him.
me?
Yeah, I would tell him.
Will you do that for me? Seriously?
Yeah, I'll tell. Well, I'm not going to tell you I will do it.
I'm going to bug you about this, like periodically.
Well, but Warfare. The thing is, there's 2 things to consider. One is that I have no reason to tell my priest that I pirate, other than it just being a useless fact about me because some guy on the internet wants me to do it. So I mean,
no. What I'd like you to do is, in good conscience, just ask him what he thinks about it. Just say, hey, you know what?
And that's the second
conversation came up. Just be like, look, this conversation came up. This is what I do. This is the rough extent to which I do it. This many titles or whatever is the case. What do you think about that? And come back and report to us what he says.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to do that. But
I'll send you 1 gigabyte of pirated books if you do.
Yeah, but I don't just want to pirate any old books. And if I need to pirate books, I'll just go.
You have PDFs, Warfare.
That was a joke.
So, but there's a second problem too.
I have a closet full of physical copies.
So I don't know what you guys are even talking about. Like,
what I'm
let's
saying
say
is, I want you to ask him. Like, just make that promise to us, just as friends.
Hey,
like, just be like, I'll go do that.
Let's say that you want to learn about theology, right? or Christology, or anything really.
Okay, well, I'm
one
sorry,
book.
There are priests who agree with me and priests who don't. It's just kind of how it works.
Well, then let's see.
There's a couple issues. There's a couple issues with this, right?
So, if
the first thing.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask something. What if the priest said, will this change your view if the priest says, "Oh, Jonathan, not only that, I want you to keep pirating. I love pirating all the time." Does that change your view? Or
I want you to pirate.
Or is this just a rhetorical thing? Like, you just want to sound like you're winning the argument because you kind of lost?
I didn't kind of lose. I showed that you got nothing to stand on. But now I don't pirate books. I don't go around and download books.
But have you asked them just in case? Because if it was moral, you would do it.
Guys, let me ask you a question. I
don't even like reading online.
Let me just ask you a question.
All the books that I have are physical copies, or they're in logos, which you pay for.
Yeah, but listen, I'm not gonna pay $50 for every single book.
You pay Zog for the book.
If I pay for exactly, I'm not gonna pay it. Like, if I pay for every single theology book, I'm gonna spend $1 million.
Well, that's why you get. That's why you get logos. That's why you get logos.
One page.
Well, yeah, that's why you get logos. But look, here's my question. Here's my question.
Well, there's one more
earlier today, right? I was in the Christian chat. Maximos had dropped some PDFs to Crash for some different books. Now, I downloaded them. They were not for me. But I downloaded them and put them in my folder. Like, in your guys' view, did I steal that?
Both of you did wrong. For him to distribute and for you to download.
Well, I don't know how he got them. No. I don't even know how he got them. They might have been legit.
You're stealing something that he shouldn't. Get this. You're stealing a thing, but nobody here can tell you what the thing being stolen is. That's the
so wait a second, Damocles. You're saying hold on. You're saying that I stole because I downloaded a PDF in a side chat?
Well, you should know that a PDF or a book in the side chat is being distributed by a person that doesn't own the book. Therefore, you know that.
Well, no, I didn't know any of that. No. Damocles.
Are you telling me you bought all of those?
Yeah, so I didn't know any of that.
Can I ask a very simple question? Let's say, Jonathan, let's say you have an idea.
Earlier from in your theology folders, did you buy every single one?
A very simple example. I promise. Let's say, Jonathan, you have a great idea, a great invention that is going to revolutionize the world, and you're going to express it to us here. And let's say Sorta is going to pick up the idea, run away, and apply it. Let me finish. He's going to apply it and get rich. Did he just stole the idea to get rich?
No, because I gave it to him. I literally came into a public chat and told him what the idea was.
Right. So, for example, literally this happened today. Literally this happened today.
Ideas don't have a legal claim. That's just retarded.
All right. So look, real quick. Literally this just happened today. I came in the chat
Well, that's
and
what the government says.
Sorter and Jonathan were in here, and I asked them. I said, "Hey, I'm pretty retarded when it comes to philosophy. Like, you guys have any books to recommend?" So then Jonathan, he sends me a PDF in the DMs, right? And it's a formal logic book, right? An introduction to formal logic. Now, I don't
to be
know.
fair, that book actually, I will give you the difference though. That's a bad example because the book I sent you specifically, I know the author, and the author said he like made this open source. Like,
okay, all right. We'll see. But either way, I didn't know that, right? So I'm saying like whether
in those cases, I would agree.
But I'm saying whether it was that or whether it was however you obtained the book, am I now stealing because I downloaded it, even though I don't know?
Jonathan now recognizes that the intention of the author could be that it's open source or that you pay for this information.
No, people can. I never denied.
That's a great point, actually. Yeah, that's a great point.
Hold on.
He recognized that this is a bad idea, a bad example. Don't use it, plus, because this author says
it's a bad example. As an example,
implicitly he's acknowledging he's wrong.
I know you have an IQ below 50. I know you have an IQ below 80. But
here comes the Persian.
The reason
plus,
it's
I
a bad.
I told you I was going to get him to freak out like this.
Here comes the meltdown.
The reason it's a bad example isn't because I think that intellectual property exists. The reason it's a bad example is because he's
melting down the repetition.
I know you guys are mad.
He's melting down.
He's starting to
spurg.
Hold on. Let me hear what he's saying. Let me hear what he's saying real quick.
You're just saying that though. You're not letting me finish.
Jonathan, what's the rebuttal?
The reason it's a
program's glitching.
The rebuttal is the reason it's a bad example isn't because I believe in intellectual property. It's because in your example, you're trying to find a book that is protected by so-called copyright laws. That's why.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, this could be any book.
Is there a statement in that book?
This could be any book, right? If we picked any book that was under copyright laws and someone drops it in here right now, and then I download it, did I now steal?
Hey, plus, is there a statement in the book that Jonathan sent you that says that it's exempt from copyright law and that there's an express intent of the author for it to be distributed freely?
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Take a look.
I do see copyright. It says you are free. Well, hold on. Wait. Hold on. Wait. It says so. 2005. Hold on, dude. Hold on. 2005 to 2017 by P.D. Magnus.
You are free to copy this book. You are free to copy this book to display it and make derivative works.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there you go.
Yeah.
In that case, no harm, no foul.
Well, right, but then so hold on. But let me ask this because I'm genuinely curious, like from you guys' perspective. Right now, okay, I drop I'm going to do it. I'm going to literally do it right now. I'm going to drop a book in the side chat. Let's do. I don't know. Maybe this book is no. That's not going to be copyright.
Hold up. I have a question.
Here we go.
Jonathan, if it's illegal to pirate books, isn't it illegal to break the law? Since there isn't a moral prohibition against
we already told him that. He says it's just bad laws.
Okay,
so it's not bad laws.
So wait, what about these two books? I don't know if these are copyright, but patristic theology and orthodox dogmatic theology. Okay, I just dropped them in the side chat. Now, if they're copyright, which I don't know if they are, but if they are, if you download that,
use your head for a second.
Well, real quick, let me ask the question. Some
books lose their copyright protection because they've been out of publication for years upon years upon years upon years.
No, I understand that.
In that case, Jonathan does have a point. We don't want these ideas, these concepts to just go away in a dumpster pile somewhere.
No, I understand that. Yeah. But that's not the question. The question. Well, real quick, the question is this. This is the question. So if we have a book that is in copyright, right? Whatever book this is, right? If someone drops it in the side chat, I download it.
They think it's stealing.
So now you guys are saying under God, I have stolen?
Yeah, you stole it.
So now to answer RC's question,
just like I'm
well, looks like I'm a thief.
Plus,
a law being a law isn't simply so because the government says it's a law. That's fake.
Oh no, I'll do it. Yeah, I know. I'll ask my priest. Yeah, I will.
There, bro?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
And make sure that all the conditions are clear. Like, give them two examples. Say, Father. So first example, I came across this PDF where it said that it was the express permission of the author that it could be copied and distributed freely. In the second case, I came across one that said no part of this book can be reproduced or stored in any electronic means, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's typical copyright language. I know this.
Gotcha.
I used to be in the publishing industry. I've had stuff stolen from me and produced at TV networks. I've been through all this stuff. So ask him. I really want to hear the answer from both of you guys.
Yeah, no. I'll ask my priest, and here's the thing. My priest is going to give a very abstract answer, but he's going to end up at saying like, "Hey, don't do unto others what you wouldn't done to you," something like that, right? But I will ask him. But this is also why I don't personally do this anymore, because I know that if I do ask him, he's probably going to say no. That's just me personally. Now, Jonathan, he's going to have his reasons.
Yeah,
I still do think
about
his
the RC
argument is
question.
valid, though.
I don't want to have to explain this to RC.
Valid and moral aren't the same thing.
Law, I'm sorry, but
Okay.
the law in the Christian tradition is not just anything the government says is a law. There are conditions outside of what the government says for something to be a law. In order for a state law to be a law, it has to be a true participation in the divine law. So if a law is premised on something incoherent or immoral, it's not that it's a law that you can disobey. It's just not a law. That's actually how the Christian tradition understands
it. That's just like Coke. But the thing is, in the case where they
what's the argument against it?
I'm giving it to you. In the case where a book or some intellectual work is protected by copyright, and it is not the intent of the author that people just pass around their stuff for free, then that is stealing.
No, you didn't listen to what I said, so I'll repeat it for you.
Yeah, no, I did.
When the government says something that's based on an obvious incoherent premise or on something immoral and then says that thing is a law, that thing is not a law. The government is LARPing.
Notice how I didn't invoke the word government.
And I can show you why. So if you're obligated to obey the law, and a law is just anything the government says is a law, then the government could publish.
Give me the argument for piracy laws being immoral.
Then the government.
That's slippery slope fallacy.
Then the government. Hold on. Then the government could say that the voting age is like 18 and that it's not 18. And both of these things would be laws despite them being contradictory. And so therefore you would be paralyzed.
Yeah, dude, this is
unable
like
to act in accordance with the law. And
that's,
you'd be
it's literal Coke and prattle.
This is prattle. So, like, what is the argument that piracy laws? Nobody's running, dude. You are running.
Run away.
What's your argument for piracy laws being immoral in such a way that you should not follow them?
I already gave you that argument. Now, are you going to respond to my argument against your position?
You didn't give an argument.
Never given an argument against my position.
I actually just
the hypothetical possibility of the government making a contradictory law about voting has no bearing on whether or not
it actually
there's a connection. Oh no, it actually kind of doesn't, right? Because we're not calling into question the person who's saying that it is immoral or illegal for you to pirate data. The person who's saying that isn't saying that like we have to necessarily obey every law that the government ever puts out. So that's just like a non sequitur.
Right.
No, you're just retarded. So I'll just repeat it for you. So
right,
the point is, the point is, the Bible says, hold on, in Romans,
people and you start spurging, you're going to start repeating yourself. Hold on,
in the book of Romans that you're quoting, I know you can't handle an insult warfare. I know your pride is so high that you just can't handle an insult, even though you do it all the time.
Right.
So listen.
Because I totally call people retards, right?
Yeah, you do actually.
No, I don't. 13, you can't produce one example.
You do. I don't need to produce it. You know that's not how conversations work. I don't record all my conversations. Okay.
Yeah, I don't go around calling people.
So anyways, back to Romans. So in the book of Romans, when it says law, it says obey the law of the land. It doesn't make an exception. It doesn't say every law except these laws. It just says follow the law of the land. It doesn't say except incoherent ones or except these other ones.
Well, yeah, that shades you, not me, because you're the one.
No, it doesn't, because
copyright laws.
Because on your view, these would be laws. So you have to follow.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I think warfare. I do think the priest thing is a very good angle for this, right? And this is why we have priests, right? Because it's like,
what about priests?
So that you don't have to get your information from crazy people on this.
Now, here's the thing, though. You can have priests that are wrong, right? But you also can have priests that are right. But I think under our view, we're going to be bound to what our priest is giving, as long as it's not like insane, right? Like Jesus Christ is not God or something.
You might. I doubt Jonathan will listen to his priest, but I'm curious. That's why I want him to ask.
I don't know.
I know. If the priest told me if the priest told me that the number 7 smells green, I wouldn't listen to him because I couldn't understand what he was saying. Just like when you tell me that it's stealing, I don't know what that means. It sounds like gibberish.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Remember earlier what the other person
other than
said
the government
when,
says
when you want to pretend that you don't understand something, you just go, I don't know what that means.
But why would that make it true?
But the thing is, I actually don't, because you're not telling me what's being stolen. You say information. What is the information? Very good conversation. Is it the concepts in the book? Because if so, by handing the book to my friend,
you're stealing the product without paying for it.
There's no document of stealing. It's my document on my computer. If I delete it, your document.
It's a product.
Perfectly fine. It's a copy of another document.
Because you're taking potential buyers or potential money that
people
you can
don't have
gain
a right for potential money
and profit.
It's not a thing. Potential money is not real money. It's not a thing you can steal, bro.
Okay, you're denying the distinction between
stolen TV. So if I make a TV and I intend to sell it, and you go and steal it, am I entitled to the profits?
That's a physical object that you're taking.
Okay, so you're special pleading. It's stealing because it's not stealing a book because it's not physical property when it's a PDF.
Where I can tell you what's being stolen in the TV case. You can't tell me what's being stolen.
Okay, check this out.
If you're actually not though.
Cream, if 5 of you guys go and chill at your house and you watch a football game, is that
No, because the government says so. It all bottoms out and Zog says so, therefore it's okay.
Zog says so.
So are you stealing?
No, dude, because I'm paying for the TV subscription.
But those people at your house are not.
There's not a limit on the viewership in my house. It's up to my. It would be up to my capacity.
You're making a damage to those companies by not giving them ability to.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Am I allowed to steal usury? Like, can I steal funds of invested money?
I don't know.
Things like that. That's
okay. Yeah, but at the same time, like when someone shares a book that he has bought,
physical objects.
When someone shares a book that he has bought, it's not stealing. It's no way near stealing.
But let's say I have a machine. Let's say I have.
Am I allowed to make money off of usury?
Well, usury is immoral, but when you say usury, you're definitely saying it's immoral. So let's say I had a science fiction.
Well, I didn't ask that. I asked if I'm allowed to make money off of it.
Well, hold on. Let's say I had a science fiction machine that could, upon even seeing an object, it could instantly make an exact replica of that object and transport it to my house. And you invite me over to your house, and you have this really nice TV, and I use this machine, and then I get a copy of your TV that works perfectly fine in my house. Did I steal the TV?
Yeah,
that's what's happening in the PDF
based off patent laws. Yeah, based off patent laws.
Yeah, so the government just says. Yeah, so the government just says so.
Correct.
Yeah. So when the government says,
I think you can make the argument.
Hold up. Let me pull this up then. So you can make an argument for it, of course, but under this premise, I can break any speeding law that I want, and this isn't this isn't an immoral thing.
Speeding is a good case because the law also has a practical element of enforcement, and when you look at something like speeding laws, the police often don't care if you go 5 to 10 miles over.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So Jonathan, here's my question now: Is it a sin to go 90 miles an hour over the speed limit in a 25 zone?
It depends.
And therefore,
does the government own the physical road?
Hold up, and then get 15 years for reckless driving.
Yeah, if the government owns the roads, then yes.
It's immoral.
Jonathan on a
yeah, because the roads are a physical thing. The roads are a physical thing that you could imprint. It'd be hard, but you could take from another person.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
All right, so it is. Is it immoral to copy a physical book into other physical paper?
No.
Oh my god!
Wait, academic institutions already allow academic.
Yeah, they allow that. They allow that.
No. I'm talking about for the purpose of pirating it. I'm doing it illegal, not for not for just reading it myself, so that I can share it with other people.
Well, no, that's the thing. When Jonathan does this, he doesn't. He's not some mass redistributor who's upselling it or something. He just reads it himself, right? And for the maybe if 1 or 2 people will ask for a PDF, he might drop it, but he doesn't
mass distributing. right?
Wait,
And
actually,
everybody knows distribution. Like that makes it a lot worse.
I have to
so.
correct Plus.
Yeah, but you're
I'm
not
giving these books out
correct
all
me.
the time, brother. I'm
buying
giving
it.
them out all the time, and I love it.
Plus, it doesn't just go to one or two
okay.
people, right? So in your example
I don't
earlier,
make
it
money
was
off it, but I
intended
do
for
send
one
it to people.
person, but you picked it up too. So as soon as he puts it on Discord, he is mass producing it. He has no control over the amount of the 30,000 people on the server that can pick it up. So as soon as he puts that link, that PDF in this server, he has mass produced 30,000 times. GG.
That's correct.
No, that's not true.
I want it
That's
produced
not true.
50,000. I want it produced 50,000.
That's not true, Krim. There's no way.
I have kind
No,
of
it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true.
I want it produced 1 million times. And
Okay,
I want
go ahead,
everyone
Black
in the
Guy. I'll
world
let
to
you.
use PDF.
Let's talk about a specific situation. So, like, you know Eric Ibarra, right, Jonathan?
Yeah.
Personally, he's slept with him a few times.
Maybe it's possible. All right, so you know
You probably shouldn't say that because you'd be accusing him of adultery by doing that. By the way.
Okay, so he
adultery's fake, bro.
Oh my goodness! All right, so he wrote. You know, he writes the book. He writes some books. Okay, do you think like sharing his books around doesn't cause him any type of injury?
Financial injury? No.
Okay, so you know so
maybe
he's
mental, because he has said that he doesn't like people pirating his book, so it might cause psychological harm.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on. So the man, he works a day job. He works a day job, and he does all of this stuff as like a side thing, like a hobby in his life. Okay, but he had to spend a lot of his time to research and write the books that he writes. And I just pulled up his Filioque book that you guys pirated.
Yeah,
and it says like straight up in there that it's not
a lot of hours. So.
Yeah. Okay. So what this does is what this does is if he can't make money off of this, like as much as he probably would have if people had to buy this book, okay, it limits his ability to transition out of his day job, okay, into being like a full-time author because it's just not profitable to be.
He probably shouldn't be a full-time author.
I don't know how much
he's got a really good job. He seems to have a really
God,
good
he's
job
doubling down.
I love this dude.
He's got a really
sucks.
good job. He's got a really good job right now, and he has a nice big family. I don't think, and so to answer I know where you're going with this.
Right.
To answer you, one, I don't think people in general should be trying to be full-time authors because it's a very hard thing to do, even if everyone buys your books.
All right. So who should be a full-time author? I mean, somebody has to feed these full-time.
Well, I have a second part.
James White.
I have a second part.
Yeah.
So the second part is, since I'm not stealing anything from Eric Ibarra, his compensation and how much money he makes is not of concern to me.
I have an argument.
I wasn't finished.
I want to bounce off of Blackout's where he's going with this, and
I don't think he was finished.
Think about the cause and effect. If there were many Catholics like Jonathan, and you basically are not supporting our movement of theology and the books, but you go out and buy like Japanese manga books. Like
I don't buy those either.
And so what you do is you're actually feeding the enemy and you're robbing the church.
Well, the way I also
I don't know why I
think
wasn't sacrilege.
Hold on, I think one of the things
I don't know why I was.
I knew you would.
I didn't actually interrupt. I interjected for half a second.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, well, one of the things real quick is like, for example, I have a book that I got off I pirated this book. I probably shouldn't have, but I pirated it. It's The Soul After Death by Father Seraphim Rose. Now, I don't even think that book's in copyright anymore, to be fair, but let's say it was, right? Are we thinking that like Father Seraphim is gonna be like, oh, he Plus shouldn't have that information unless he pays me $10? Like, is that
Plus,
am I gonna be allowed to address what Wayfinder said?
Oh well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I want to finish up.
No, go
So
ahead.
the thing is that is I'm sorry, but that's a fantasy, because everyone, first of all, his books have been pirated a lot. I have them pirated, and I also have them physically. The thing is, when people pirate books, they tend, if the books are good, they tend to have an appreciation for the author and want to give him money anyways. And that's actually what happened. Secondly, even if everyone did pay for his books, he would not be able to make a living off of it. He wouldn't even come close. So that's the first thing.
Because of pirates like you. So
no, because I bought the book. So
exactly.
Okay. Well, that's the thing.
You're
like,
a pirate too.
The idea is, so if what the pirating doesn't, it's what I wrote in the text. It drives away like people like Ibarra, people like this. They just have to basically concede that, hey, I'm just a hobbyist. I'm going to write, and I don't care if people, my information out. Like they just want to get their information out. But the people who want to transition that into a living are hindered by this. And so, who is the paid author in your view, Jonathan? Who's going to be like
people? Yeah, people who are so good at writing that even though you could pirate it, you still want to buy their book.
Oh, that's it. So they got to be so good.
Yeah, that would be.
It be so good. It has to cut all of the pirates to the heart, so that way they say, "I just have to."
People like physical media. Even people who pirate like physical media.
Do you have a pirate flag, Jonathan?
I have to like stop stealing. I have to suppress my thievery because this guy's book is just too good.
Well, there's no thievery going on, but yeah, I mean, there are times where it's easier to read.
Blackout.
Yeah, he does. The point is though that it's not thievery, so to characterize it that way is to just assume your position, and that just goes down to Zog says. So I don't care what Zog.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Basically, it goes down to what the government says. It goes down to what the government tells you.
Well, no. I mean, I don't think you're taking into consideration. Look, I have a kind of a middle of the road approach, as I wrote in the text chat. Okay. I mean, I think some stuff it depends what it is. Look, I don't think I don't think these houses trying to these publishers trying to make all this money off of works that are essentially free or recycled or regurgitated over the centuries. That's nonsense, okay? And some of that stuff's free on the internet anyway, so who cares? If you go on some website and they have the Summa, whatever, why should you know what I mean? Unless you want a physical copy, then you're right, it's free. So why are you paying for what's
But yeah, Black with that argument, Anna's archive would just be a website where it's free. And it's already been distributed anyway.
Listen, you can go to a library. You can go to any. If you're a university student, for example, or even if you're not, in some cases, you can go to any library in the United States, and through the interlibrary loan system, you can get Ibarra's book for free, and that's been done with other people's books thousands of times. They didn't see a penny from that, except for the initial buying of the book, which is the same thing that occurs in Anna's archive, where one brave soul, buys the book and then uploads it to Anna's archive. Same thing. The only difference is that the government says one is good and one is bad. So it's government says.
Right. No. Well, okay. Look, there's a difference between, let's say, recording industry. But anyways, here's the idea. When you do this to somebody like Eric Ibarra, okay, it does hurt them. This man spends his time. His time is worth something, unless he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't care, but he wouldn't put a copyright.
It is. That's why his book was put in a physical form.
Care?
No, because he does care, because he wouldn't have a copyright on there. The copyright is to protect his property. He would not have put that on there otherwise.
There's other functions of copyright laws.
So he doesn't. So he doesn't care. He spends his time. That's time he could have spent with his family. It's time he could have done some second job to make money. I mean, he's
Jonathan,
and that's why I'll
donate food out of this child's
He's intending to make money.
That's why I'll donate to his Patreon. Or I'll buy the book.
All right, but his agreement, his agreement to do that is not your agreement. You're making a separate agreement. You're making an agreement with him without his consent. You're saying, I will only pay you if I think you're good, but I'm still going to take the
Patreon.
Good.
Yeah, right. Basically, it is without his consent because I'm not doing it.
You know what you're doing, basically? It's like you go to a restaurant and you order food, okay? And you just eat the food and you tell them, only if I find it to be delicious will I pay you.
That's a good idea.
If it's not delicious,
it's actually more
it's not delicious, I'm not going to pay you, but you're still going to take the food in your stomach. Now, if it was a fair exchange, it would make you vomit it back up, okay, before you left.
You're assuming the books are similar to food, but the similar example would be the TV example that I gave earlier, where a friend invites you into his house. You have science fiction glasses that can copy the TV without affecting the TV at all physically and copy it in your house. And then you tell me that I've stolen your TV. Well, no, I haven't stolen your TV, buddy. I just have a copy of it. That's all it is.
What?
No one's going to bar. No one's so in other words, all a PDF is a copy of another PDF, brother.
Well, no, the television, the TV, they say they have their rules are about rebroadcast, in commercial settings.
But I don't care about the rules. I care about the principle.
You don't care
Notice
about
how all of your reasoning goes back to government says. I don't put any value in that.
Well, governments are instituted to protect people's rights, at least presumably.
They often don't.
It doesn't matter if they often don't. It's like saying, well, murder. This is where you become a dumb little homosexual. Because now you're saying, I don't care about law. So just because people murder, there shouldn't be laws against murder? What kind of stupid reasoning is this?
Well, there's a natural law argument for why murder should be illegal.
It doesn't matter. This still is the law. Like you don't want.
Actually.
So let me ask you: you don't want laws against murder?
No, I do.
Okay, then what are you talking about? Then the same thing. Like, so the copyright people are trying to protect their property.
Thing. It's not their property. There is no property being stolen.
You're
also murder's not wrong because of property. I don't know why that.
Oh, okay.
One day, Jonathan, when you're gonna write your book.
So people should steal this guy's
shit. If I wrote a book, I would freely give it to people in PDF form and say, "Hey,
I think you will. I think you will be upset.
You want to give your stuff
people stole your book.
Surely,
Wagner
Jonathan,
you
have something. You have something you don't want to give away for free.
I don't. Is that a question? I don't understand.
Or are you going to pretend that there's like everything you own, everything you have?
No, because not everything I own is so it depends what you mean by own, but everything I own is something that can be stolen. So yeah, I would care if it was stolen. The issue is that Jonathan, the TV case is not stealing; it's just a copy.
So Jonathan, if you write a song, Jonathan, is this the same thing as like so if you write a song and you're selling it?
I haven't said anything about selling it.
No, I'm saying if you're selling a song, because you're an artist or whatever, if I pirate it, you're not upset that I'm taking your money.
I don't care.
What about hacking? What about hacking a proprietary code base?
It doesn't matter if Jonathan cares. Hold on. It doesn't matter if you care or not, Jonathan. You're not the decider of other people. First of all,
it doesn't matter whether the author cares either.
No, you don't. First of all, two things. One, your ideas, of how one other person should treat their property is irrelevant. Two, you don't decide.
No, they're not. They're my property. They're my ideas. Okay. They're my property.
Well, then, okay, fine. Then you're a thief in their vision, so therefore they can come after you.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, that's how it works.
You
don't get to walk in.
Yes, I
agree with you. You don't get to walk into a courtroom, Jonathan.
I agree.
You don't get to dictate.
No, it's objectively a thief, not only
you don't get to walk into a courtroom. I
agree with you. There are people who think wrongly.
That's just not how it works. I'm sorry. And yes, people do.
It is how it works.
It's just not property. Your bicycle.
So what about hacking,
bro?
What did you say? It wasn't property.
I took it. It's not your property, bro.
Answer, please.
I didn't take anything from anyone.
Answer, please, Jonathan. Is it stealing if you break into some place, right? Or like a server, and you steal or you take? Let's not load the question. You take a proprietary code base. Is that stealing?
No, but it's immoral.
Oh my
God!
Well, there you go, guys.
You just stayed Jonathan. You just stayed a fat. You just hey, Jonathan.
I can tell you
stayed a fat pile. Give me hold up. You give me whatever cope you want. But here's my question: what is the difference between you stealing code from a proprietary server after breaking in, and what's the difference between that and stealing a PDF that you didn't pay for?
So I just told you none of them are stealing, but the server case is immoral for non-stealing related reasons. The reason going into a server, because you're breaking and entering first of all, right? So the first thing was you break into a place, so you don't have permission to be on those physical grounds to have access to those physical
You're not
entities.
You're not physical. You're in your home.
You have to. No, the example was the example.
Yeah, Jonathan's magically a materialist.
The example was breaking into a place, accessing a physical server to take a proprietary code base. I listened very well. Now that is immoral. Okay. And it's not because
is hacking immoral?
What a hypocrite.
Hacking can occur in many different contexts, and I don't know the specifics of how it works.
Okay.
So you'd have
to
Jonathan,
in my bed, same scenario, but in my bedroom, I hack into a proprietary server, and I steal the proprietary information on that server. Okay, I do it from my bedroom.
Yeah, so in the same way, the pirated book also lives on a server at some other physical location. The pirated book,
it's not stealing.
The pirated book is also not intended to be taken. Well, it's immoral.
The answer is no, it's not stealing.
Yeah, it's immoral.
Okay, Jonathan, is it immoral? Is it immoral?
It can be immoral for many. It can be immoral for many different reasons.
Oh my gosh, can you guys shut up, Jonathan? Is it immoral for me to sit in my bedroom and hack into a server and steal a code base so that I can make money.
Depends why you're doing it.
If I can to make money.
What to make? So you're making money off of. So you're stealing something and then saying it's yours and selling it.
No, I'm just going to use it to get some ideas in order
I need to know
to
specifics to evaluate because you didn't give me enough.
So Jonathan, the ends justifies the means.
Stop, observer. Stop.
No.
So the context is I want some ideas for how to create a new type of, I don't know, app for a phone. And I know that this one, they're developing one that has some features on it. I want to know how they use those features. And so I hack into their server. I look at their code and see how they make these features. And then I replicate it online.
I mean, it would be immoral because you're deceiving people by saying that, by essentially claiming that you created this.
I never make the claim.
Well, you don't have to make the claim. You don't really have to make the claim for it to be deceptive. It can be deceptive without it being a claim.
So it's only immoral because it's deceptive.
It's immoral because it's deceptive, yeah.
Well, what if he cites who he got it from?
Well, if he cites who he got it from, I don't know how a citation. How does that look like? Like, hey, here's this code. Here's this code that I got from Apple. Yeah, I mean,
no, that you put that in the license. You put that right up top.
I can give you a scenario where that's perfectly
files. You put that right up top.
That's perfectly fine.
So I think you guys are. I think you're letting this guy like rhetorically beat you guys up. So first, of all,
no, he's just running around and like dodging.
I've directly addressed every argument you've made, and I've destroyed it before your eyes.
Jonathan doesn't define.
No, you haven't.
He doesn't define.
I'll formally debate you on it with an actual moderator, so there can be all this.
Wow, I can put out the challenge, dude. You haven't done well here, bro.
Hold on, Jonathan does not define property. Okay, the state does. Now he can sit there and say, "Oh, I don't care what the government."
The government also defines.
Well, it doesn't matter what he thinks. Okay, because now we're going to get into like political theory about how we come together as a society. We have a social contract, a constitution, a government, and all of this is to deal with dispute resolution, property, contracts, and so forth. Right? Because people, unlike you, Jonathan, okay, they actually understand that. Hey, I had to put in some work and some effort, some time and energy to.
I understand that very well.
You do, you well, okay, then you don't respect.
I understand that you have to type on the keyboard.
You don't, because a person says, hey, I spent weeks, months working to like produce this information that can benefit somebody, and I want to exchange it for
money. Sounds like an emotional argument.
It's not an emotional argument. Okay, well, you know what, dude? I'm going to invite you over. You're going to mow my lawn for free. That's what you're going to do.
Emotional argument.
And don't tell me
the difference.
You're gonna mow my lawn for free.
And
if you expect payment, I'm gonna tell you that you're just an emotional little bitch.
Did you
so
say?
I expect you.
Service is a physical.
I expect you down
a
here.
Service is a physical.
I expect you.
Physical thing.
It is. Well, no. Writing a book is a service, dummy. The person is literally spending their time.
That's not what's being stolen.
They're spending their time to like to research, and information is worth something. I mean, have you ever been to college?
No, I haven't.
I was just gonna say.
I've never been to college.
Have you ever had a job? Seriously?
Yeah, I've never had a job or been to college. Okay, so now back to the.
Wait, are you serious? You've never had a job?
No, obviously not, you dumbass. I'm just trying to bypass your emotional rambling.
No, it's a question, but look at the way that you talk. Look how triggered you get where you got to call people like.
I mean, because I'm not gonna lie, I am annoyed that a grown man couldn't understand that I was joking right there.
Well, you're a very sarcastic person, and you yourself admitted to me in
learn
DMs
sarcasm,
the other day that it's hard to tell, right?
You should respect sarcasm.
So because you're very sarcastic, it's only natural to ask when you're being serious and when you're not.
Shut up, normie.
All right, guys. Let's tune it
from you.
Hold on. Let's tune it back down. Let's tune it back down.
So the government also defines.
Hold on.
When it's
Dude.
Government says
real quick, we got to tune it down because again, we're talking about PDFs here. It doesn't have to get personal. These are PDFs. I understand what you guys are saying,
tell that to
but
the 5 people jumping down my throat.
I'm not the one calling people names.
Dumbass.
You're just speeding, and you should repent. That's the end of it.
So, anyways, back to the point. So, if you lie to someone and say, come and mow my lawn and I'll give you $15, that's immoral for that reason. And it's also immoral because a service is a physical thing. And that's the thing that you are obtaining. That's the thing you're obtaining by paying the person in addition to the actual mowed lawn. In the case of I didn't commission Eric Ibarra to go and write a book and then not pay him for it. It's a different scenario.
Okay, well, but that's you getting involved between him and his client. So Eric Ibarra wrote a book, put a copyright on it. He intends to sell it. Okay, and you're jumping in between. You're saying, no. I'm going to negotiate a different contract. In fact, I'm going to ignore your contract I'm just going to steal your shit.
Yeah,
That's what
just
you're
like
doing.
just like if an abortion provider makes
I
a
like free
contract
shit.
that they're going to kill babies. That's
No,
morally irrelevant.
Blackout doesn't have 50 gigs. It's the Orthodox Christian server, Jay Dyer server. That
Yeah,
has
but
50
he
gigs
has
of books.
PDFs. I thought.
I don't. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah, we all do. Everyone in here does. So we're not
Yeah,
like.
so it's just
I don't.
hypocrisy.
Yeah, but you
I don't
don't
think all
justify the immoral act. You say it's
Yeah,
immoral,
Even
but
admit
I'm
you're
still
a
doing
thief.
it.
You don't
Well, I didn't say
justify
that.
it. You just do it. You don't justify it. You just do it and say it's wrong anyways. You're so much
Yeah,
better than
turn
everyone
yourself
else.
in then.
Yes, that's actually
Okay,
better than
turn
saying no,
yourself
it's
in,
not
then,
wrong.
Turn
So
yourself in.
Jonathan's saying that this is like he's
My conscience is
ignoring
clear. I don't
the
believe
issue is
it's
that
wrong.
Jonathan is redefining property according to himself. He's
No,
ignoring that laws
redefining
exist,
according
and
to
he does
truth.
not care what the authors think is property. It's like Jonathan's opinion of
It's
property.
all the government
versus
says. It's all the
their
government says. Whatever the government says is right. So if the
It's not
government
the government,
if the
dude.
government says that life is
Yeah.
defined as being
Yeah, and
born,
people
then they
want the
can kill
government
the
to do this
unborn.
because they want to protect their like when people own businesses. They
Yeah,
expect,
people wanted to protect the woman's right to choose. Who gives a shit?
people. Oh, okay. So now you're making this argument that government's immoral. Ooh. It's not.
No, I'm saying government can be right or
Romans
wrong.
13, dummy. Romans 13.
Gay
Yeah,
marriage.
so Roman. Okay, so
He
Romans.
doesn't care.
Romans
I know he
13.
doesn't-
It's
he's like
obvious.
desperate at this
You
point.
should. Romans 13. You should have supported abortion.
Yeah. So
You
here's
like
the
free
deal.
shit?
And gay
Wow.
marriage.
When it comes
Wow.
to property, that's one of the biggest functions of government is protecting your property.
But the government said that the fetus
and
was the
so-
woman's property.
Look at the special pleading. Like,
He's
it's
getting
incredible to me.
No, he's not.
No,
So
The government.
it doesn't.
Hey,
well, no,
who are
his argument
you to
doesn't
tell the
work.
government? Who are you to tell the
His
government what
argument
marriage
doesn't
is?
work
The government
because
says
his
it can
argument
happen
is
between a man and a man.
government does one thing immoral, therefore Jonathan can declare everything government does is immoral based
No,
on
I don't
what
think everything
doing
government
that.
does is
He didn't say
immoral.
that.
Okay. Yeah, that's
didn't
exactly
say
what he's
that.
arguing.
No, I'm
is like
saying
a-
that your same argument can be
Why are you
used
over
for
talking?
anything.
So first of all, this is the classic papist argument. I will find you're a Protestant.
Arguing well.
You're actually a Protestant because this is what they do. They say, "Oh, I'm going to find one exception, or I'm going to
It's
find
not my
one
fault you
scenario.
get dunked on by
Therefore,
Protestants.
I can throw away the whole system." Thief on the cross, dude. Thief on the cross.
No, I'm
This
not.
is
I'm
the
not
same
saying
thing that you're doing.
government shouldn't exist. I'm saying
Right.
government doesn't.
Oh no,
define
it shouldn't
what I'm
exist.
saying government.
It only should exist for the things you
No,
want
I
it to
think that the
exist
government
for.
can be right
So
or wrong.
Eric Ibarra has no rights under your system.
The
He's just
government
whatever
can be right or wrong.
Jonathan's
The
the
government
Supreme
can be
Court.
right or wrong.
Jonathan is the Supreme Court. He
The
decides.
government isn't infallible, bro, and you don't believe that either.
Yeah, of course not. And that's not an
Yeah,
argument
so
against
why
the
should we
institution
think
of
in this
government.
case that they're
So why are
correct?
you
Other
making
than
a
you
dumb?
just
Why are you
bitching
making a
about it?
dumb special
Why
plead
should
weird
we think
argument
they're
like
correct
that?
in this case? Other than
That
you complaining
argument's
about
been
it?
dismissed. So
Why
Eric
should we
Ibarra
think?
spent
Why
his
should
time.
we think that the government is right in this case?
Eric Ibarra spent his time. He wrote a book. He spent his time doing so.
Okay, more
He
emotional
put
argument.
copyright in there. It's not emotional. Okay,
It
there's
is.
no
You're trying to
emotional
guilt trip
argument
people
here.
into
This
thinking
is
that
literally
he's
what's
owed money.
in his book. He put a copyright in there, and he expects to be paid for his work.
Right.
And the woman goes
contract
to
is
Planned
between
Parenthood,
him
and she expects to be able
and
to
the
kill her
customer.
child.
Okay, so he expects to be paid for his. You're saying no. I'm going to come around. I'm going to dictate. I'm going to say number one, the work that you produced is not even property, and then I'm just going to take it.
Yeah,
freely.
because it's.
Yeah.
Hey, Blackout.
Last
Hold
point.
on. Let me say this.
The government also said, "Look,
the-
Blackout's running away because he knows.
I'm
Like,
not
who
running
is
away.
Blackout?
You're like,
Who is
this is like
Blackout to say what
a
marriage? Who is
juvenile
Blackout
argument
to
that
say
you're
what
running.
marriage? Who is Blackout to say what marriage is? The government says that it can be between a man and a man.
All right. Well, hold on. Real quick.
Who's to define
Here's the
that?
thing. I think the best argument against what
Blackout's getting in the way
Jonathan
of those
is
two men
saying,
trying to get married.
the best argument against what Jonathan is saying is just going to be the priest argument, right? Because Jonathan's going to have to be subject to his priest in some sense. Other than that, they're really like.
It's not really an argument.
Well, yeah, it's not an argument. That's the point. It's more of like a moral culpability.
Something false because your priest says it.
Jonathan, if Eric
I think
Ibarra
it's saying more than that.
Hey, Blackout,
Jonathan,
you
if
there?
Eric Ibarra knew that you're going to steal his book.
Eric Ibarra does know that people pirate.
Yeah, but let me finish the thought so you can respond to it. If Eric Ibarra, let's say, knew that you and everybody else were going to steal the book, then the book wouldn't exist.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So let me finish. So the book wouldn't exist. So for the sake of the information that Eric Ibarra is giving you, you should respect him and give him the money that he deserves.
I do respect him. It has nothing to do with respect.
The money. I'm talking about the money. I'm talking about buying the book.
Hey, Blackout.
Just like when people tell me that marriage can be between a man and a man, doesn't mean I disrespect them just because I say they're wrong.
You missed the point.
Yeah,
I
Blackout, you there?
What's up?
Can we get a clear shot here? I have something to propose. Give to Eric Ibarra what is Eric Ibarra's, and to God what is God's.
I haven't taken anything from Eric.
Sounds good to me.
See, he persists. He persists on being the one who gets to define what is property.
No, it's not me. It's the whole Christian
up against another individual.
It's common sense, actually.
It's not. There's nothing common about your sense. Your sense isn't very common.
What if
Eric Ibarra?
Eric
Ibarra said it's his property. You're saying nuh-uh.
Hey, okay, hold on. Another challenge.
I am. People.
So
people
in addition to the Ask the Priest challenge, I'd like to propose a second. So here's my 2-prong test right here, and I would love for Jonathan to follow through on this if he has some integrity, and I think that he does. So the first prong is to ask your priest in the specific context of things that have copyright protection on them. The second prong challenge that I want to throw out to you is I'd like you to reach out to Eric Ibarra, or anybody here even, to reach out to Eric Ibarra and say, hey, do you have a problem with people like pirating your work?
I don't need to do the second part. I already know he does.
There it is. So right there,
I don't care about people's feelings over facts.
It's you versus Eric. Okay, and so Eric says this is my property.
You've rhetorically oriented the situation that way. I don't.
No, that's exactly what it is. Because
I don't have a problem with Eric.
You're not the truth maker here. You're not the one who dictates.
You're right. Neither is the government.
Okay. Well, actually, they are, because they're instituted.
Okay, based on what?
I'll tell you why. Because Eric Ibarra says this is my property and I want to sell it, and I'm engaging in.
So more people just saying stuff.
Okay. So that's what he wants, because he spent his time.
Okay. A woman also wants to kill her child.
So he did a service. Okay. Now you on the other hand says no. I don't recognize that as property. I'm going to take it from you. So you've stolen his time. Now, who decides between the two of you? Well, Eric Ibarra agrees with the government, which protects his right, which is why they can drag your ass into a court and they can put your ass in jail.
Yeah, they can also put you in jail for being. They could also kill you for being a Christian under the Roman Empire.
Hey, Jonathan, I'm gonna give you the ultimate example, and if I don't win with this one, I'm just gonna concede your side. Are you ready? Here it goes.
Sure.
All right. So let's say that I tell you I'm a photographer like Nephilim, and I want you to pose for a professional photo. Okay. Yeah. And I take this professional photo. All right. And I have this photo. I give you a print of it, just like you and I had agreed to beforehand. But then I go and I turn around and I sell this photo to a gay strip club. Okay. And their purpose of using this photo. Yeah, no, what they're going to do is they're going to put it up in the front of this gay strip club, and everybody gets to watch, like, Jonathyn's
No, because I have a right for people. Right? I can just bypass this already. I have a right to not be seen by certain people.
Hold up. No, because here's the problem. Okay. You and I already had our exchange. I gave you the photo. You gave me $5. Like, now I'm taking something that is mine. It's my effing camera, dude. Right? It's my photo that I printed out that you don't own.
Yeah,
and I said, here's hold up.
See,
and I sold it fair and square to the gay strip club, and now Jonathyn is the object of all of these men's gay strip club fantasies. Okay.
Right.
Tell me why.
I'll answer your hypothetical because I already knew where it was going. That's why I interrupted you.
All right.
So yeah, that's if you think that the reason that is immoral is because of a property concern, you have a really weird moral sense. The reason that's a problem, first of all, what was the agreement when you took the professional photo? Usually, I would just give you a photo. Well, then you shouldn't agree to stuff like that. There should be some kind of agreement that you're not going to use it for purposes other than what it was intended for.
No, screw that. No, it's because
you're
remember,
just a retard if you do a deal like that. I'm sorry.
Your feelings about whatever is produced, given your face. Oh no, hold up. It is. Because your feelings about whatever is produced from your brain, your face, your whatever it is, right? Nobody gives a shit, right? What you feel about what everybody does.
I love how I get back in my truck. I love how I get back in my truck, and the example is now Jonathyn's picture being used as the display for a gay strip club.
That's not my fault.
He's going to special bleed his way out of this one. But what did I say his fallback was going to be? Special pleading.
So
every turn, it's been a case of special pleading.
I don't want your meta commentary. So the thing is, Meisty, the argument I gave you wasn't about feelings, right? So you could be a robot. This would be the case. The argument I gave you is that when you have someone take your picture, you should take steps in terms of an agreement where, hey, this photo is not going to be used for anything other than to be put up on my wall in my house or whatever it may be, right? So that's the first step. The second step is even it's not because of the photo. It could be a video. It could be anything, and it would still be immoral because I have a right to not be the object of somebody's lust. That's a physical thing.
Here's the great part. Well, number one, this isn't you, right? This is your picture. It's your likeness. Number two,
that's an iconoclast argument, and I reject it.
Right. That's an iconoclast argument.
I mean,
you're saying
it kind of is. Yeah, it kind of is.
You're saying the argument. You're saying the picture has no causal or physical.
No, it's not an
connection
icon.
to
It's
the
opposite.
person.
No, it's not at all. I'm saying it's not. It's not you. I'm just saying the photo isn't you. The photo is your likeness, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
Jonathan's making the iconoclast argument.
Jonathan's making the iconoclast.
Yeah, he's an iconoclast now.
Yeah. So Jonathan, no. Here's the issue. Here's the issue.
Anathema
Jonathan.
to you, dog.
Like, you say you want to make this agreement. Isn't the case that Eric Ibarra also had an agreement when he gave his intellectual property to someone?
I didn't say that just it being an agreement is the problem.
He doesn't care about
what I said is there are some agreements that are morally respectable. There are other agreements that are not. There are other agreements that are not.
So Eric Ibarra's agreement, Eric Ibarra can go get effed because he had an intellectual agreement with somebody, right? And then they violated that, right? Or whoever was engaging in that agreement on the other side violated their part of the agreement. Yeah.
The problem is that Jonathan is only arguing one side of the coin. He's just the premise built into all of this is that Jonathan's morality is like the morality at hand here, but that doesn't work because like Jonathan, what you have.
Am I going to be allowed to respond or not?
Yeah, you are going to respond. Your theory of economy here is like a rapist's theory. I'm just going to take what I want to take. I want to take. So you have like the rapist theory of value. It's the rapist theory of value. You just
it's not though.
It is. You're just.
It's not because It's not because somebody's body is going to be a physical thing that you can take, right? So that's going to be false. So, anyways, that was.
Also, you're just a materialist.
As usual, Black Guy's contribution.
Okay, atheist.
He can't tell us why he's right and the government is wrong about marriage. So, anyways, to go back to RC, I have a right for, like, any person has a right to not have their body used in such a way as to make a likeness that is used for immoral purposes. It's not because it's a photo.
Oh, because you said
now, hold up.
Hold up.
Here's the crux.
Because you said so.
Here's the crux. Okay. So, Jonathan, tell me the metaphysical or the moral difference between your likeness and your intellectual property. Go ahead.
One is a physical object that is being actually used and taken. The other is a copy.
Oh my God. Materialist here, dude. He's atheist.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's
actually
what I was.
Yeah, things are only material is his argument.
The sign that your argument's losing is that you need 5 people to jump in every time I say.
Can you steal numbers?
That's fine, Jonathan.
Or
just
when
trying
you
to
just
see.
start calling
That's a
everybody
good
names.
point. Can you steal the number 3? That's a good question.
Yeah, you can. If you hack account of bank account of somebody.
Wait, did you just say
steal a
yeah? You
number,
can.
taking his
Stealing
money.
number 3, you ding dong. You're
No,
stealing
dude. What are you talking about? Yeah, you can.
To the point, right?
How are you going to steal the number 3, dude?
You can't steal the number 3 or the concept redness.
What the hell?
That's what you guys believe. That's the wacky world you live in.
This is my.
I just gave you the
boat.
example. If you hack your account,
This is the point where I jump off the boat. But Jonathan, I'm going to go in and talk to my family
crazy.
and touch grass.
Wait, RC, I had one more thing I wanted to say about your.
But what I wanted to tell you, Jonathan, is that sounds like to me you don't have an actual justification between your likeness and the gay strip club usage and
he's got no morals.
And the intellectual property. You almost had me at your argument, but that one.
Do you have to go this minute, or can I explain the last part?
You got 1 minute.
Yeah, it's also like obviously that case is immoral because you're using someone's likeness for lust, right? So lust is inherently wrong. Yeah, so that's like the obvious reason.
And the book of Eric Ibarra, the text that you are reading, is an intellectual likeness representation of his thoughts. So you're perverting that too.
Words aren't likenesses.
Not words, the concepts and the ideas that are found in the book.
Likenesses.
What Eric Ibarra is writing down is his thoughts and studies.
The word doesn't reflect Eric Ibarra's face, bro. That's not.
I'm not saying the word. I'm not saying the word. Eric Ibarra doesn't.
Words, dude.
Yeah. So why is it the case then that other people can use those same words with a different meaning, and thus it's not their property?
He arranged those specific words a specific way and expects to be compensated for that. That's what he's offering a service.
Well, that's not my fault.
You don't respect the service that he's offering. You're a thief.
Look, gay couples expect to be able to get married, bro.
It doesn't matter.
The analogy doesn't
You're
work
off in the
because
woods
it's
with
not
that.
one.
That argument's
Well,
very
David, I actually want to target.
Why?
Jonathan,
No,
it's
Why
plagiarism.
doesn't it work? Why doesn't it work?
Jonathan, is
somebody does something
plagiarism real?
bad, therefore I can do something bad is your argument.
No, it's not my argument.
It is your argument. That's
My
what
argument is that the argument you've made is the government said so, therefore it's okay.
No.
Is
Eric
plagiarism
Ibarra says
real?
so.
Is plagiarism real, Jonathan?
There are people who are Platonists.
No, not Platonism.
Plagiarism.
Plagiarism from Malak.
Plagiarism.
Is plagiarism real? Well, yeah, because you're lying. You're saying that these are your own thoughts when they're not.
That's not plagiarism to them, right? In your system?
But the word, but I don't own the words. I don't even own the construction. Hold on, I don't even own the construction or the formatting of the words into thoughts, right?
Listen.
So
it doesn't
how
matter
can plagiarism be real?
Because it's not about ownership, bro. It's not that the words are your property. The words belong to the English language if they belong to anybody. The reason that plagiarism is actually
and formatting
the
of
reason
them
plagiarism is actually wrong. The reason plagiarism is actually wrong is because you're deceiving people into thinking that you are the one who produced.
On you guys.
Oh,
No one's talking about individual
the reason
words.
plagiarism. I know you guys can't.
Nobody's talking about individual words. They're talking about like the concept.
You can't control yourself. It's okay. I know you can't control yourself.
Well, your you keep.
I know you
keep
can't control yourself. It's okay.
vomiting
I
like
know you can't
false
control yourself.
premises.
I know you can't
You
control
have to
yourself.
be
You're like a weasel, Jonathan.
I
You
know
are a
you
weasel.
can't.
You're a gish
Plagiarism is not wrong because you own the words.
Nah, this dude Jonathan, he's like fighting like 3 or 4 people at the same time. He's actually
and they're doing pretty badly for the numbers.
Yeah, they're not doing that good actually. Like at first I was on their side, but now I'm not.
Listen, Ty, take his dick out of your mouth for a second, okay, and think straight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guarantee you, put any one of them
wipe your chin off.
where he has to actually answer the questions, and he'll get back.
How can I answer when 5 people jump down my throat every time? How does that make any sense?
My bad. I just wanted to know about the plagiarism, so I'll just
one-on-one for a half hour. Take it or leave it.
I've already been going 1-on-5 for 45 minutes. Why would I want to go?
That's why it doesn't get anywhere. That's why it's not getting anywhere, because you're able to evade and dodge.
Sorry, but this isn't like, if you don't want to pirate books, you can do that, bro. I'm not in here telling you it's a sin to not pirate books. The only one here, I was dragged into this VC kind of randomly. I actually joined it on my own. And then immediately people start debating me on piracy, and I've destroyed you.
Yeah, it's John. It's my fault, Jonathan. It's my fault. I brought up the fact that I thought your argument was good for this, this pirating thing, and then the whole VC was like, we could prove them wrong, and yeah, here we are.
And like 4 people did later. Because we've shown that all he's done is like retreat to special pleading every single time, and then also retreat to non sequiturs and red herrings. So there's at least 3. There's at least 3 logical fallacies in all of Jonathyn's response. The first logical fallacy in Jonathyn's response is special pleading. The second logical fallacy in his responses would be the non sequitur, when he continually runs to, the government's a gay marriage and abortion. It's all non sequitur. And he also
non sequitur.
Quite several red herrings have come up in here too. He can't stay on topic. And part of the reason that he can't stay on topic is because he's got 4 or 5 different people talking at once.
What topic have I shifted?
It's been explained to you.
Yeah, no, because I've
here it goes again.
It's literally, it's dialectically not plausible that I did that, because everyone else has been shouting like thought experiments at me for like 45 minutes. So that's just BS, right? You're just saying that to cover. Now, if the non sequitur, it's actually not a non sequitur. It's actually not a non sequitur. The reason it's not a non sequitur is because the argument being proposed against me, or that was being proposed against me, is that who are you to tell the government what property? That's the same argument.
It like that?
That's the same argument that the Supreme Court used when it said that marriage is between a man and a man.
Oh man,
Jonathan, it's not about the government. It's about
no.
Damocles,
Damocles, just stop. We gotta let warfare go. 30 minutes, go.
I didn't say I'll stay for 30 minutes.
I didn't really either, but I mean, even if we got 5 without a bunch of peanut gallery stuff, maybe it would go somewhere. I thought there was good use in the hacking the database example. because in that one you at least can see that it was immoral, right? But the only reason that you say that it was immoral is because, you know, somebody there's a breaking and entering, right?
In the scenario you gave, yeah.
Is that the only thing that makes it immoral? Was that
we'd have
you
to
would
see
do...
more details to see if it's immoral?
Jonathan, I'm going to agree to not interrupt you, and I want you to do the same. Okay. Okay. So in the case that I gave of you, you know, run some sort of attack on a server and you get in there and you get the code base and you download it. Now, we haven't said anything about intent whatsoever yet, so we don't know anything about your intent, but you just do that much. Would you say that that is immoral only because of the breaking and entering part?
If the situation as you've described it is breaking into a place and getting a code or whatever from a server, given the details that you've provided, which is very slim, yeah, the only thing that's immoral there is breaking and entering, and even that might be morally fine if it's, for example, an evil corporation that plans to nuke the planet that you need to break into. If you're some kind of like CIA operative or whatever, just imagine a fiction scenario.
Well, but hold on. I don't want to muddy the waters with that stuff just yet. Like, we can build up to specifics later, right? So right now I just gave a case. I didn't say anything about who the corporation was, what the code was for, or anything like that. And so I'm doing that to keep things really crystal clear. And in that case, you say that the only thing that is wrong is the fact that there's a certain breaking and entering. Now, let me ask you this. If, let's say that it wasn't you, because you're not smart enough to write the code to do like the back end attack or whatever, right? So it wasn't you, it was Matthew. And then Matthew goes and does that. Matthew does the breaking and entering and gets all the code base. And then he throws it up on some server of his where it's just free access for whoever. You go onto Matthew's server and then download the code base. Is that immoral?
Given the details you've provided, I can't see anything other than deception that's wrong with that scenario.
So I don't think I heard the answer.
Well, you did hear the answer. You just didn't like it.
No, is it immoral? Was the question.
You're not that old. Your ears work.
Yeah. Is it immoral?
In the scenario you've given me, the only thing that could potentially be wrong there, and it's not clear based on how you've described the scenario, the only thing that could be wrong is if Matthew were making some sort of claim, either explicitly or implicitly, that he is the one who went and did this and he wasn't, or something like that.
Okay, look.
But no, that's all there is to it.
No, so I still haven't heard an answer, right?
You got the answer, you just didn't like it.
No, because you didn't give a clear answer. So here's
my
how
answer
I would
is very
say it.
clear. It can be repeated by someone who was listening carefully.
Yeah, it's not, because it doesn't have a yes or no in it.
I just told you the answer.
Your answer actually doesn't answer his question.
Krim, I don't care about the peanut gallery. I don't care about the peanut gallery.
You said ask
You're
anybody
not
in the
smart enough
room.
to have this conversation. Let's just.
You said ask anybody in the room; they could repeat it. So here you go.
Yeah,
now you
I kind of meant everyone who has an IQ above 80. Sorry.
That's fine, dude. So you put the deception on Matthew. The question was like you getting that information. Is it morally wrong for you to get the information?
No, there's nothing morally wrong inherently in the scenario.
Okay, there you go.
In the information, which is what I said the first time.
Hey, can I just give you guys a fair warning?
Hold on.
Jonathan is like 40 IQ points above all of us. Can we not get demolished today? Can we not argue with this smartest guy?
This is what we're trying to avoid here.
Pedro, you should have been here for the last 50 minutes.
Away. This is why Jonathan's able to squeak away.
Your buddy is the one interrupting. I'm not.
Pedro, stop trying to kill the room, dude.
Well, no,
we're not killing the room.
You asked the
I'm
room.
coming in on Jonathan's side. I'm trying to actually
hijack the room. Stop, Pedro.
No, I'm actually trying to help you stop getting slaughtered.
Pedro, stop.
Hey, Pedro, try stopping trolling for a second and listen to the programming angle of this. You might find it interesting.
Was not trolling.
Hold on, Pedro, hold on.
Pedro, this is
I've been recording. I've been recording for the past hour. Okay, we can run it back later. Pedro, please let them continue for the sake of the recording.
Yeah. So
I'm
my answer
continue
for the
with
fourth
him.
time. My answer for the fourth time, I think it's about it's the fourth time, is that the only thing that could be wrong in the scenario you've given is some kind of deception. There's nothing else in there that screams immorality to me. If you need that repeated again, you could go back to the recording because you're really not able to have the conversation.
So anyway, let's get back to it. Hold on, let's get back to it. So are you saying that? Explain the deception part. I don't understand what that's pointing to.
Well, the way you framed it was that people thought I did something, and then it actually wasn't me.
No, I did not frame it that way. Well, here's what I said. Let's rewind the tape, right? So here's what I said. The first thing I asked you was very clear. If you back end tunnel into some program using whatever you want to try to do it, right? You get in there, you know that it's not what they desire, such on and so forth. You know this is against the law, right? Blah, blah, blah. And you take the code base. You, without hesitation, say that is immoral. You say it's not stealing, but you say that it's immoral. I say, okay. And then when I asked you what was the immoral making condition of that, you said that it was none other than the breaking and entering part. So what I'm doing now is removing your complicitness in the breaking and entering part, and we're putting that on Matthew. So now Matthew tells you that he hacked into such and such website and downloaded this code base. You know that he hacked into it, right? And then he puts it on a server where you can just go and click a button and download it. And you personally yourself aren't breaking and entering anything.
Yeah.
If you go and take that code base, is that immoral? Yes or no?
It's not immoral for stealing. It might be immoral because it puts me in danger, and I shouldn't put myself in danger.
Okay, well, wait a minute. So now this is like really kind of starting to balloon. So in the original part, the reason that it was immoral, I asked you, is there any other condition that would make it immoral besides the breaking and entering? And you said no.
In what
okay,
you
so
described,
in this case here, right? You're saying we've removed the breaking and entering thing. So you're saying that the only thing that could make it immoral is that you could possibly suffer harm. Now, despite the obvious sort of weird,
You're just lying.
A thing. How about a thing?
You
We'll
gave me
a
thing that
a
could
thing.
make it immoral.
Remember the agreement about the interrupting too. Try to calm down because here's
But
a follow-up question.
I don't care.
Here's
I
a
don't really
follow-up
put
question.
any value in that agreement.
So here's obviously not, and I could imagine why not, because it closes off.
You
in
just
a
ran a room
hatch.
for 40 minutes of people interrupting me constantly and over talking. You had 6 people jumping in at once. Don't complain about getting interrupted. I don't take it seriously. It doesn't make me feel bad. It doesn't make me feel bad. It doesn't make me feel bad for you.
Good for you, Jonathan. But this is supposed to be something different to actually drill towards some clarity on the matter. So here's the follow-up question on that. If somebody robs a bank and has a bunch of money and they give you some, is it immoral for you to take it if you know they robbed the bank?
Yeah, because it's a physical thing that they've taken.
Oh, it's a physical thing that they've taken. Okay.
Yeah, it's a physical thing that's such that if I take it from you, someone else doesn't have access to it anymore.
Okay, so when Matthew took this code base from the company, he not only just took that code base, but he deleted all their records of it on all their servers, and now he's the only one in retention of that code base, and then you take it from him. Is that immoral?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Hey, just a note out, intellectual property actually is purely physical. Like data, it is physical.
We told him that.
Yeah, well, what I meant by physical, okay.
I get it. You can see it, touch it, taste it, smell it. Okay.
Yes, they can be. There's if you took a scientist to a computer, you could analyze it. Okay, it's not what I mean by physical. What I mean is something tangible that's such that if I have access to it, it takes away access from other people. But I don't know.
You mean the layman's version?
I don't know about
you can see it, touch it, taste it.
Okay, well, how about this? And let's change the example.
Case you've described. Hold on. Don't let his interruption be. Don't let his interruption be an excuse to not let me finish. Don't let his interruption be an excuse to not let me finish.
Well, for one, this was you and I for a little bit. But hey, forget about that.
I'm addressing you. You're using him interrupting me as a cover to not let me finish.
No, I'm not.
Okay, well then let me finish. So, and this is my response to you. In the scenario you've given, there's nothing that screams immorality to me unless there's you have to fill in some details.
I've given you 3 scenarios. Which one are you talking about?
The one, well, all of them really, but the last one especially.
Okay, the very first one, you clearly and directly said it was immoral by virtue of breaking and entering into the server. The second one, when we clarified enough, we said a couple things. You said that maybe we need more clarity on that. So the second one, you know that Matthew broke into the server and he puts this stuff on his site and he just offers it to you. You don't have to break into anything. The first time your answer to that, your first time that you answered that, you said that it's potentially immoral because something bad might happen to you. I don't think anybody here buys that would be like the immoral making condition that's in question here. So can we get a more clear answer on whether or not that's immoral?
I already gave you a clear answer. Just because you don't buy it doesn't matter. So the reason it might be immoral for me to download information off the internet, this actually is most people's intuition. You need to be careful on the internet. You shouldn't just download anything that pops up. Even if you kind of know what it is, you don't know the implications of what that could do for your life. But that's actually a pretty plausible principle. You hear it all the time in real life when people say be careful on the internet. comports perfectly well with intuitions. I never hear anyone say, "But you're stealing the code." Like that's just the thing of like people who are in the industry, right? That's the only people who care about that.
So those aren't moral parameters; those are safety parameters for individuals.
Moral parameters are also safety parameters.
No, they.
Whoa!
You have an obligation.
You interrupted me again, right?
You're right,
5 words in. So it's hard to really continue without a clear answer to that one. I guess we can skip to the third one. And I said, obviously, interrupting again.
Yeah, because you lied.
So no, I never lied. What I'm doing is
said it wasn't clear. What wasn't clear about it?
Interrupting again.
Well, what wasn't clear about it?
You have like 3 people against him. How is he?
What was unclear? What was unclear about my answer? I was pretty clear in my answer.
Because the first example given, that the immoral making condition would be the breaking and entering. Now, at that time, you didn't notice that. At that time, you didn't say anything else in addition. And I asked, even, is there anything else in addition? I asked
you didn't give me any other information.
I asked that, and you said, "No, well, hold on,
dude. That could be a Nazi server."
Jonathan, hold on, slow down, dude, calm down. Further information would not be needed in order for you to raise the personal danger angle. So that's just a coat, because that angle would still have applied without any further information.
Sure.
You could have said.
That's only one of many different things.
Okay. 5th interruption.
Yes. Keep counting, because I'm going to keep doing it. When you lie about what I say, it's like, why would I respect what you have to say?
6th interruption. Nobody's lying about what you're saying. What we're trying to do is
clear.
7th interruption. What we're trying to do, because it's not clear.
That has no
sway. It is
sway.
not clear. It is not clear.
Okay, what isn't clear?
So, but let's go to the one. So the third one, your response to the third example was very clear. So I said, if somebody robs a bank,
so now it is clear.
Okay, no, the third example. The first was clear. The second is unclear. The third is crystal clear. I'm moving on. I'm moving on to the third now, because we're not going to get any traction on the second.
What wasn't clear about the
second? In the third, you say that the reason that makes it immoral is because there's an actual physical property being stolen. So instead of a bank, let's say that Matthew, manipulates some crypto and steals some crypto from somebody, and then he gives that to you in your wallet. Is that immoral?
I don't know.
To take it?
I don't know. I don't know enough about crypto.
Yeah, this is where I'm happy to stop.
What do you want me to answer based on not knowing anything about crypto? I don't understand.
There you go, people.
What do you think about the morality? What do you think about the morality of Goku and Chi-Chi's marriage? You're going to be like, I don't even know what that shit is, bro.
Yeah, we're done.
Wayfinder, 10 minutes was too long, bro. I had it pointed out before he ever started the argument that he was going to just fall into self-pleading over and over and over.
You can't just let him run.
Plus had it before he even got in that he was going to fall into self-pleading. I asked him a couple questions. You asked him a few questions. Special pleading, category shifts.
I didn't special plead. I don't know. I literally don't know enough about how crypto works to answer the question. So if you can't construct
the
scenario,
you don't have to know anything about
crypto to understand what he just said. I mean, that's pretty much is the end of this.
I actually kind of do, because I have to know how.
There you go. John Jay coming in with a baseball bat to Johnny's feet.
Well, guys, real quick. I'm gonna have this. I've been recording. I've been recording for an hour and a half. Okay, so since it started, so you guys can watch the recording back. Jonathan, just real quick for your own safety, I guess. Do you want this posted on YouTube? Like, would you mind?
Absolutely.
You do.
I destroyed these guys.
Okay, because we have admitted, like, multiple people have admitted to piracy in here. So I just want you guys to
that angle. I mean, yeah, I guess for that reason, if you don't.
Yeah, like I don't know, I don't know how you guys want to go about it.
I would, given that, I would prefer not. But if it was just the debate content without that, which is
it's baked in though. It's baked in. So, I don't know. I could post it on the YouTube channel and then take it down in like a couple days or something. It's up to you guys. I just want to make sure like no one is really objecting to it, because
I would.
Oh, I don't care at all. My conscience is entirely clean on the issue, so I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. The only reasons I would be against it would be the thing you said, and then also there was some unsavory language in here.
All right. Well,
look all these bitch ass niggas talk about this shit. Thinking that Shlomo's gonna bust down their door in the rest.
Dude, Chico, come on, bro.
Base,
I'm still recording, by the way. So Chico, I got that on recording. Anyway,
but the reason the crypto case isn't clear is because I don't know enough. I literally don't know enough about how crypto is implemented in other areas of life.
Crypto wallets are pure data.
It's data.
Crypto wallets are pure data.
Yeah, if it's just the data concern, I don't see why it would be immoral. But if there's
but they're also monetary.
if there's other, so that's the thing. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, there's a monetary value behind it. So is intellectual property. There's a monetary value behind intellectual property, such as like supposedly if somebody stole the schematics, like the drawings, like they stole it. Like, well, here's a tangible example. I'm currently working on Microsoft data centers right now. Somebody who is working for one of the electrical companies, he decided to sell proprietary data to China, like their schematic and whatnot to China. Yeah, China. This guy was walking around like as somebody who works in the office. He was walking around with like a Gucci bag in a wrapped, like anime wrapped car. These are like red flags. Like this guy has stupid money and he doesn't work at a job that would let him have a Gucci bag. Like that's 10 grand, and the wrap was like 60 grand, and the car was a Tesla. So yeah, the guy's got stupid money. Yeah, and the guy was escorted off by police officers one day, and of course, we think that he got taken to some underground bunker. But that's what I mean is intellectual property and selling it off to other individuals is valued monetarily.
Yeah, I'm not talking about selling it.
Well, neither was I in the example. Remember, I didn't say that you sold any of the crypto.
Didn't say
I
you
never
would.
said that. I simply said, I'm just being clear. I didn't say that you said I was. No, so who's the other guy talking right now about the Microsoft thing?
It's Fipto.
Okay, Fipto. All right, so check it out. So we were trying to drill down about Jonathyn's defense of it being, totally moral to pirate stuff. And so I'm going to run it back really quick for you. I don't know if you were here. I first said, if Jonathyn, so I said if you, where the you is Jonathyn, but break into some server and download a proprietary code base, is that stealing? He said, no, it's not stealing, but it's immoral. I said, okay. I said, what's the immoral making condition of it? And he said, well, the breaking and entering. And then I said, okay, the breaking and entering. So then I made second example. I said, okay, if your buddy Matthew does the breaking and entering, takes all the code base, then deletes the whole entire thing, so there's no more trace of it anywhere, then he gives it to you for free off of one of his servers that you don't have to break and enter into, is that immoral? His response to that, hold up, just let me finish. His response to that wavered all over the place, but one thing I did hear crystal clear was that it might be immoral immoral because of the danger it could pose to Jonathyn. I then skipped to the third example. I said, if somebody robs a bank and gives you some of the money, is that immoral? He said, yes. I said, why? He said, because they're giving you actual.
Yeah, we heard all this. Why do you keep doing this?
Up, because I don't know if this guy
we heard all this.
Just trying to run it through to him. So I'm not asking you. So pipe down.
Yeah, why? We have a recording. Why are you replaying the whole thing?
Is he listening to the recording right now, smart guy? No.
Well, he can go listen to it. Who cares?
He also lied about what
I sort of get it, though. I do sort of get it, though.
Quit freaking out. We're almost there. If you had patience, it takes.
We're not freaking out. We just don't want to hear you talk. You always have these long, elongated analogies.
I want to hear him talk. I want to hear him talk.
Well, of course you do. You're
crying and leave the room. Then.
Intellectual property wants to hear.
Yeah, quit crying and leave the room, then, Pedro. Anyway, to the guy.
No one's crying. We're telling you to shut up.
Dude, you're literally screaming like a girl. Listen how high pitched your voice is. So back to the thing.
No one's screaming. No one's screaming right now. I know what screaming is. What we're tired of is your monologues. Like you always do this in every conversation. You're like,
I don't think it's a monologue.
Here's the opening to my press conference.
Jonathyn said that
allow me to display to you my TED Talk. Dude, learn what brevity is. Learn what brevity is.
Yo, can you shut up and let him talk, please?
Yeah, brevity is I would have been done. Brevity is I would have been done if there wasn't a troll. Anyway, so where I was.
No, you wouldn't have. No, you wouldn't have. That's a lie.
Okay, watch me finish this in 25 seconds. If you just shut your mouth.
Okay.
Anyway, dude robs the bank, gives Jonathyn money. He says it's immoral because it was a physical thing. Then I said, what about crypto? And he said, well, I don't know if that's immoral or not.
Yeah, that's a perfectly acceptable answer.
Finished in 15 seconds.
It's over. Thank God. Now go tell him to watch the recording. I thought you recorded it for a reason.
Who cares?
All right, guys. Hold on. Any final thoughts for the recording?
Yes,
you guys need to be better. You guys need to get better at dogpiling. You guys really suck at it.
Yeah, PDFs are Ned Flanders, and we're the
Sorry,
radical
I'll get better at
anarchists.
that really quickly, Jonathan.
Yeah,
Not you,
Jonathan
Rooftop.
demolished. I think Jonathan.
Don't tell me to shut up, bro.
And if you're against Jonathan with PDFs, you're a hypocrite, and you should live up to your standard and turn yourself in.
Yeah, that's the other thing that was crazy is that Damocles said you're coping and saying it's not immoral, whereas I know it's immoral and I'm doing it anyways. Like that's your conscience. Like, what do you mean?
All right.
He needs to turn himself in.
Well, real quick, for the recording's sake, anyone that feels like you've admitted to piracy, just clarify for the recording that we're talking about in GTA. We're talking about in a video game. Like none of this is real.
In real life.
Yeah,
I hate to tell you, but they don't care if you say it's in GTA at the end of the night.
Oh, they don't care. All right,
I've done
whatever.
piracy in real life, not in GTA.
All right, I'm gonna end the recording. All right.